Okay. All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another A Course in Miracles call. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Uh, wait. Having an error. Okay, here we go. So, as we continue in chapter 2 of A Course in Miracles, again, for anyone that is brand new seeing this is the book. It is thick, it is dense. It's not the easiest to read when you first start. A lot of people jump into the course and, really hard for them to grasp it, and it becomes a bookend, really, on the bookshelf. So we are going to go through it. This is the first time that I'm actually doing our calls in this way, where I go through one section of the chapters, and there are 31 chapters, 5, 6, 7, 8 sections per chapter. So when we get through it, we'll get through it. Today we are on chapter 2, section 6, fear and conflict. So this is great. We're going to dive into where the root cause of it. The past weeks we've talked about correcting error at the right level. So there's 2 levels that we talked about. One is at the level of the mind, at the level of thought, and the other one is at the level of the body. Anytime that we think we can change our state and find peace by correcting at the level of the physical, the body, that is the wrong level in which we are trying to correct. The correction always happens at the level of thought, and the body and the physical follows that. All right, so most, if not all, of our problems and our conflicts comes from correcting at the right level. Actually, all of it. It corrects at the level of thought. So when we shift the way we think about something, we shift our relationship and we shift our experience. So the Course says that when we try to correct at the level of the body, there is never anything that is consistent, right? If we think about any sickness, if we think about any situation in our world today, there's no one true fact about anything, right? You can't say every time that I do this, I will have this result. It just doesn't happen. So that level of inconsistency shows us that, it's the state of being that you're in, the way you are, the beingness that really changes the relationship, that heals your experience of a person, a situation, any event, the way that we see the world. That's why the Course says the world does not need to change. The way we perceive the world needs to change. So a miracle, this is a Course in Miracles. A miracle is a shift in perception. A miracle happens it is a shift in perception, and we can also say that a miracle is the love that is behind all of it that makes this shift in perception even possible. Okay, so that's a miracle. A miracle is nothing that happens in the physical realm. What happens in the physical realm, what happens at the body level, is merely just following everything at the thought level. Okay, and at this thought level, our true identity is with Spirit and is with God. At the thought level, everything is Spirit and everything is God. It is in perfect harmony within each other, and our fear and our conflict only comes from the separation of that to that of the ego. Okay, so we think that there is an ego that shows up. The ego itself is the identity of Alex as who I am, that is separate from each one of my brothers and sisters out there. All right. Also, I read a post in honoring the International Women's Day this week. I am going to refer every time in the Course that it says he, reflecting God, I'm going to replace with she. So just for fun, But really, when we speak about God, it is beyond the he or she, is beyond the pronouns, is beyond all of that. So what's important to look at is if we do have any conflicts around it, if we do have any preferences around it, any tiny conflict, any small thing is equally disturbing to the mind as anything else. All right, so whenever we have conflicting thoughts, that's where all of our challenges and our fears and our conflicts come from. So we're going to dive into reading this section here today. And I'm excited because we are coming up onto a section on Wednesday, which is cause and effect. That is one of my favorite topics in the course, and it talks about cause and effect. And it really is a continuation of what we've been talking about, which is the shifting of which level in which we correct the errors that occur. Error always occurs at the level of thought and the level of mind. Okay, so just remember that. So cause and effect, as you guys can see where we're going to be going. But today we are going to be talking about fear and conflict. So what I'm going to do is I am going to read this section, and as I read this section, the invitation is to open your mind. And when I say open your mind, I mean don't worry about trying to understand and analyze what it is that is being read. Try to feel it. Try to feel the words rather than hearing it. Okay, so try to listen with your spiritual ears, right? Removing that filter that we have, our need to understand things, to analyze things, to agree and disagree with things. All of that is unnecessary, right? You don't need to bring your separate ego brain to this conversation here. So allow yourself to just bring calmness and stillness to your mind, and open it to new possibility, new awarenesses. Welcome in spirit to help you transfer the listening, okay, to shift it. Okay, so section 6, chapter 2, fear and conflict. Here we go. Let me get a drink of water. And welcome everybody on socials. Okay, so fear and conflict. Being afraid seems to be involuntary, something beyond your control. Yet I have said already that only constructive acts should be involuntary. My control can take over everything that does not matter, and while my guidance can direct everything that does, if you choose so. Fear cannot be controlled by me, but it can be self-controlled. Fear prevents me from giving you my control. The presence of fear shows that you have raised body thoughts to the level of the mind. Here we go. We're talking about that level again. This removes them from my control and makes you feel personally responsible for them. This is an obvious confusion of levels. I do not foster level confusion, but you must choose to correct it. You would not excuse insane behavior on your part by saying you could not help it. Why should you condone insane thinking? There is a confusion here that you would do well to look at clearly. You may believe that you are responsible for what you do, but not for what you think. That's a great line right there. You may believe that you are responsible for what you do, but not what you think. The truth is that you are responsible for what you think, because it is only at this level that you can exercise choice. Only at the level of thought can you exercise choice. Interesting. What you do comes from what you think. You cannot separate yourself from the truth by giving autonomy to behavior. This is controlled by me automatically as soon as you place what you think under my guidance. Whenever you are afraid, it is a sure sign that you have allowed your mind to miscreate and not allow me to guide it. It is pointless to believe that controlling the outcome of misthought can result in healing. When you are fearful, you have chosen wrongly. That is why you feel responsible for it. You must change your mind, not your behavior, and this is a matter of willingness. You do not need you do not need guidance except at the mind level. Correction belongs only at the level where change is possible. Change does not mean anything at the symptom level where it cannot work. So I'm going to pause there for a second here. When I interviewed Paul Hutchinson, so Paul Hutchinson is the executive producer of Sound of Freedom, and we were talking about him quitting the hedge fund, his private equity fund position, and going down to South America to rescue children. So this is what he did. He quit this big fancy life to go down, risk his life to rescue children. He did that for 10 years. Okay, he rescued hundreds of kids, and I brought a tough question to it because I'm like, okay, so what you're doing, what we're doing here is we are addressing the symptoms, which is these kids being trafficked, right? And yes, you made a difference in these 200, 300 kids' lives, but when you entered the business and you got people arrested and you saved these kids, the demand is still there, and actually something filled the gap, right? He went in and there was I think it was 8 million people being trafficked at the time they were estimating, and when he came out 10 years later, it was 20 million. So what did he actually do? Right? Because when we try to fix things, and I'm not saying this is right or wrong, I think it does matter when we impact people individually. Okay, I really think that matters, and that's all it matters, really. But when we look at the grand scale of things, when you address things at the level of the symptom and you don't heal it at its source, which is at the level of the mind, we cannot actually create the safe enough space for this business not to exist. And the healing happens at the level of the mind. And I'm not even saying it happens at the level of the mind of the people that are in the business. I'm talking about healing at the level of your own mind, your own thoughts about it, your own perception about what is wrong with the world. Because your conflict about it is actually what brings about war. Any conflicting thought, every single thought produces form at some level. So that's how powerful your thoughts are. And in this section, it's saying you may not think that you are responsible for your thinking, but yes, you are. And so we'll go a little bit further into that. The correction of fear is your responsibility. When you ask for release from fear, you're implying that it is not. You should ask instead for help in the conditions that might have brought fear about. These conditions always entail a willingness to be separate. At that level, you can help it. You are much too tolerant of the mind wandering and are passively condoning your mind's miscreations. The particular result does not matter, but the foundation, the fundamental error does. The correction is always the same. Before you choose to do anything, ask me if your choice is in accordance with mine. If you are sure that it is, there will be no fear. There will be no fear. So we can actually look at our results. We can look at how we're feeling in this moment, and we know exactly if we are aligning our will to God's will. All of our fears comes from deviating from God's will. Recognizing that God's will is my will. And that everything that is happening in my life is God's will. And it is my will. And when we can align to that, the fear just leaves. Everything in our life is an invitation to deepening faith, to trusting in something bigger and a guidance, a universal intelligence that just knows more than you. And if you can feel and really truly grasp the fact that you are part of that, then there is a place that you're going. There's a purpose for the people that are in your life. There is a purpose for the things that are happening to you or for you. All right, so that's really the thinking The correction of the mind is that all things are meant to be the way they are and designed perfectly, and that there are no accidents in God's plans. And from that place, peace begins to return in our mind. We invite God into more areas of our lives. And the only free will that we have is whether you're going to choose that or you want to choose to be separate and bring more fear into your life. That's where the fear and conflict comes from, is from separating and deviating away from the path, from where you are, from walking. It's kind of like we're walking down a path. Okay, there is only this path and we're walking, but we're just kind of closing our eyes and thinking that we're somewhere else. Awakening is to recognize the path that you're walking on. Is to open your eyes. Is to open and see. All right. And then trusting, right? You may not be able to see where you're going or where it's going to, but just trusting that this is the path home. And that all our brothers and sisters are walking it. Some people may get off track a little bit. Our only job is to remind them of this path again. Is to remind them of the walk home. Because most of us, we forget where we're even walking to. Right? That's the forgetting that the Course is saying, that we're all walking to the gates of heaven. We're all returning our minds home. We're all returning to oneness. But we forget that we're doing that. So I had a conversation with a great sister, one of my close sisters last night, or yesterday, about, like, it's the same thing that I brought up when I went back to Taiwan, is there's a death in the family, and then the whole money situation, the house and the money and where does it go, and the probates and all this stuff. There was no will. And got caught up and was like, should I talk to an attorney? Should I bring an attorney into the picture? I'm like, it's not even that much money. The attorney's going to take everything. This is an opportunity for you to build an opportunity to build a loving, a next level spiritual relationship with your brothers and, your family. That's what's real here, but we forget. We get caught up on the physical. So this is the same thing as the level. Right? When we're trying to fix at the level of the body, the level of the physical, it doesn't fix anything. What needs to be fixed is the remembering that you and your brothers are one, that there is love. There's an opportunity to choose love here. The Course says peace is everything. Peace of mind is everything. And it's not just the peace of mind about this specific situation, but it's how do I get lasting, eternal peace? And the way we get that is we use this situation right here as a reminder. Let me remember that peace is what I want. It's not fair. It's not what's fair with money. It's not me getting what my portion is and me fighting and the principles of it. All of that is in the physical realm. What's important is the opportunity to remember love. So, from that place, the Course says peace is everything. All the stuff on the physical level is really nothing, right? And when we say nothing, it changes. Just because you get it, you might temporarily get satisfaction for being right and getting what you think is fair, but you still don't have peace of mind because you try to fix something at the level of the physical. And what you did was you got what you thought was going to bring you happiness and peace, but it didn't, because 10 minutes later you lose your shit about something else. And then it's something else. And then we keep trying to fix things at the level of the physical, the level of the body. Really, we're just trying to fix symptoms, and it never ends. Because the correction, the level that is correct, the correction level is at the level of the mind. So whatever you have challenges or conflicts within your life right now, it is just because you aren't seeing what's actually there. What you're seeing is a projection of something that you are afraid of in your own mind. And the fear comes from not knowing what level the correction needs to happen at. Right? Whatever you're going through. Oh man, if I can just close this deal, if I can have more money, if I can have you name it, what you replace it with whatever you want. If my wife would only do this, if my kids will only just listen, if somebody only studied A Course in Miracles more, right? All of this is nothing. Everything is finding that peace. Having peace of mind about stuff, right? Wars are going on in the world. Oh, can I have peace of mind about that? Politics happening. Can I have peace of mind? Banks failing. Can I have peace of mind? The peace of mind, where you're going to find peace is trusting that God's got this whole thing worked out. It's not on your shoulders. So just let that shit go and give it over. All right, so okay, continuing here. Fear is always a sign of strain arising whenever what you want conflicts with what you do. This situation arises in two ways. First, you can choose to do conflicting things either simultaneously or successively. This produces conflicted behavior, which is intolerable to you because the part of the mind that wants to do something else is outraged. Second, you can behave as you think you should, but without entirely wanting to do so. This produces consistent behavior, but entails great strain. In both cases, the mind and the behavior are out of accord, resulting in a situation in which you are doing what you are not wholly wanting to do. This arouses a sense of coercion that usually produces rage, and projection is likely to follow. Probably always follows. Whenever there is fear, it is because you have not made up your mind. Your mind is therefore split, and your behavior inevitably becomes erratic. Correcting at the behavior level can shift the error from the first to the second type, but will not obliterate the fear. So fear will still be there. It is possible to reach a state in which you bring your mind under my guidance without conscious effort, but this implies a willingness that you have not developed as of yet. The Holy Spirit cannot ask for more than you are willing to do. So we talked about this before. Holy Spirit comes from your welcome, from your willingness. It will not ask you to do more than what you're willing to do. The strength to do comes from your undivided decision. There is no strain in doing God's will as soon as you recognize that it is also your own. The lesson here is quite simple, but particularly apt to be overlooked. I will therefore repeat it, urging you to listen. Owning your mind can produce fear. It does so whenever it is conflicted in what it wants, producing inevitable strain because wanting and doing are discordant. This can be corrected only by accepting a unified goal. The first corrective step in undoing error is also is to know first that the conflict is an expression of fear. Say to yourself that you must somehow have chosen not to love, or fear could not have arisen. Then the whole process of correction becomes nothing more than a series of pragmatic steps in a larger process of accepting the atonement as the remedy. So, again, I'm going to remind everybody, every time I say the word atonement, is the undoing of separation, is to bring your mind back to the correct level. Is to recognize that correction happens at the level of the mind. It's where you see the atonement is to accept the undoing yourself. To atone is to undo separation. That is the atonement. To remember oneness. Know first that this is fear. Fear arises from lack of love. The only remedy for lack of love is perfect love. and perfect love is the atonement. I have emphasized that the miracle or the expression of atonement is always a sign of respect from the worthy to the worthy. The recognition of this worth is reestablished by the atonement. So the atonement, again, keep saying this. We bring back to oneness. It's established. You and I are one. The teacher of God has made a decision that you and I have no separate interests. See, the world is safe when we can recognize that all the people in the world have no real separate interests than I. That we are the same and we want the same. And from that place, we can look beyond behavior, beyond words, beyond actions. That is the goal here, is for us to close our eyes, open our spiritual eyes, and look to the Christ consciousness, to the light, to the love, beyond the words that people are saying, beyond their actions, right? Because we see somebody say something and we see somebody do something and we judge them, who they are from that. But who they are is not that. And that's what you have to see, that your brothers and your sisters, everyone is an innocent child of God. Look at everybody as babies, if you want, if that helps you, or puppies. Or we're all just trying to find our way. We're all doing our best and just trying to find our way home. And if you are further along on the road and you are clear in this moment, if you see love more than somebody else in this moment, your only job is to shine love. Is to give love. All right? That's why we say everything is love or a call for love. And that's why love is the only appropriate response to anything. There is not one thing that can happen in this world that love is not the proper response for. Okay. Where was I? Okay. You have done something loveless, having chosen without love. This is precisely the situation for which the atonement was offered. The need for remedy inspired its establishment. As long as you recognize only the need for the remedy, you will remain fearful. However, as soon as you accept the remedy, you have abolished the fear. This is how true healing occurs. Welcome, Lenka. Welcome, Ariana. Everyone experiences fear, yet it would take very little right thinking to realize why fear occurs. Few appreciate the real power of the mind, and no one remains fully aware of it all the time. See, this is something that can give you hope, can let you be kinder and gentler to yourself in the mistakes that you have made. And as you are able to forgive yourself quicker and you're kinder and gentler to yourself, that, hey, nobody is fully aware of this all the time. Man, that just feels a lot lighter, right? We feel like once we get something, we have to keep it that way forever. We forget and we remember, we forget and we remember. And our job, our mission, our objective here is, when I remember, I'm going to help you remember. That's it. And when I forget, I hope that the image and the remembrance of you and our interaction helps me remember. Few appreciate the real power of the mind, and no one remains fully aware of it all the time. However, if you hope to spare yourself from fear, there are some things you must realize and realize fully. The mind is very powerful and never loses its creative force. It never sleeps. Every instant it is creating. It is hard to recognize that thought and belief combine into a power surge that can literally move mountains. Thought and belief move mountains. We all know this. We go through all the motivational speeches and all the conferences and the people that we watch on Instagram. They all know this. Belief can move mountains. That means you're thinking. Think and grow rich. Thinking changes your experience of the world. Thinking changes your bank account. How much money is in your bank account? It's not by working more hours. It's by changing your thinking that changes, right? That's literally what this chapter is all about right here. So when we think about fear, it's the thinking, the disconnection from our will to God's will. That's where fear is produced. So reconnecting that. Just imagine in your mind that when you have fear, that connection is severed. The way out of fear is to reconnect that. Every single one of your problems in your life right now comes from your disconnection to your source, to God. Our unwillingness to let Spirit guide us in our lives. It appears at first glance that you believe such power about yourself is arrogant, but there is no real reason you do not believe it. You prefer to believe that your thoughts cannot exert real influence because you are actually afraid of them. This may allay awareness of the guilt, but at the cost of perceiving the mind as impotent. If you believe that what you think is ineffectual, you may cease to be afraid of it, and you are hardly likely to respect it. There are no idle thoughts. All thinking produces form at some level. So that is that chapter. Now, there is something that I read online that I want to also read real quick that I think is really powerful, because this addresses the two common mistakes that we as bodies, how we approach in alleviating pain and conflict and fear. And the one approach that we take is we focus only on positive thoughts. And this is actually great, because I also sometimes think like this. I'm like, okay, well, if we just focus on the positive, we only focus on the love, it automatically dissipates all the dark and all the fear, right? Maybe. So this is what the Course is also saying, is that by only focusing on positive thoughts, we think that we will remove fear. But if we only focus on positive thoughts, there's still a conflict, as if there's two different things, right? If you're focused on positive thoughts itself, means that just by the thought that something needs to be positive, and my thought is positive, that means the negative also exists, right? The underlying belief is that there is two different things, and you are reinforcing this split. So this really, what it does is it sweeps the error, the thought of that, the erroneous thought, under the carpet. Okay, so it still doesn't actually address the cause. Okay, having positive thinking, negative thinking, those are still just symptoms. All right. The second approach is the dwelling. This is probably actually, I don't know if it's worse or not, because both given to the Holy Spirit heals right away. So the second approach emphasizes the dwelling on the fear and the pain. We sit there and we think it, we analyze it, we feel it, we grieve it, whatever that is, but we don't give it over to the Holy Spirit. Okay, let me receive her healing perception. It continues to reinforce conflict and fear, and I can't do it, and I'm trying to fix it myself. You created it. That means you cannot get out of it yourself. You must give it over and ask for a different way to see something, a different way to perceive. Which, in another word, is basically saying you need to reconnect what you disconnected. The Holy Spirit is the voice, is the guidance, is the divine teacher within that is guiding us, whether you know it or not. The Holy Spirit is always a reminder of what's true, with a capital T, not our own little truths. All right, so that was a lot in a very short period of time. Anybody have any thoughts, questions, anything you want to bring up, conflicts? Lenka, welcome.
Good morning. Good morning. I just absolutely love that. And now I got to remember to write it down that if you just look at the positive, that's actually at some level saying there is a negative.
Uh-huh.
So I'm going to ask a tongue in cheek question, but actually, it's a serious question. I'm having partial knee replacement on Tuesday. And I just, I'm trying to look at there's going to be pain after. So I'm trying to like assimilate what you just said, not seeing the negative, um, or seeing it as negative. Like I'm worried about mentally how I'm going to be reacting to what's going to feel like real physical pain. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you can sort of tie in what you just said, the positive, negative thinking, it's not real, to some kind of like strategy mentally for me next week.
Yeah. So again, see this fear, it's very real. You've created it. You've actually projected a fear from right now into the future. I mean, a future into right now. It's not even here. It doesn't even exist. It's not a truth. You might not be afraid of the pain. You might actually enjoy the pain. You may actually have huge breakthroughs around the pain. But that's only if you allow it. See, it's back to the connection itself to spirit and God. Like if you can the only problem here is I don't have the trust. Right? That's where the fear arises, is I don't have the trust that I will be taken care of in that moment. I will have the most peaceful thoughts and I will think about love as my knee is healing. I don't have to trust that that's going to happen because you believe in yourself and what you've created about your life and what you've made up about pain and knee surgeries and about the body. There is nothing that I can say and nothing that's going to bring you to ease about your knee surgery. You have to ask for peace going into it. Let me deepen my trust in this. This knee surgery, let it show me what I'm supposed to see. See, it's the invitation of your knee surgery is, are you willing to trust me in this moment? This is what God is saying. This is what Spirit is saying. Here's an
You know,
invitation to
I
trust.
I thank you. I agree with that. And I think I'm also worried about the self judgment I'm going to have when or if I'm feeling the pain.
If.
And I'm starting. Well, I know I'm going to feel the pain, but mentally, where I start going, I just want to be careful that I don't judge myself
Mm-hmm.
because I'm already going into this thinking if I do this right, if I do the ACIM work right, I will have a pleasant experience, pain and all, instead of judging myself if it doesn't go that way. So, anyway, thank you for this.
Yeah. So again, there is no right or wrong. Right? That's the conflict right there. If we think that there is a right way to do ACIM and there's a right experience I'm supposed to be having, then I now become the decision maker again on what I think is right and wrong. And then here I go again. This pain is wrong. This experience, my reaction to it is wrong, and it's the judgments all coming back, and we've just incorrectly perceived what A Course in Miracles is supposed to be teaching us. It's really just teaching you, look, there's nothing in this book, okay? The only thing in this book is an invitation for you to find your inner guide, to be able to hear the voice. It's an invitation, and just with words and love and spirit inside the course that is saying, reconnect to source, reconnect to spirit. Trust me again is what the invitation is. Remember me, remember you. And then from there, knee surgery, whatever's going on in your life, it's being done for me. Right? There's only two thoughts that are ever happening. One is God doesn't care about me. Two, God cares about me. That's the only two conflicting thoughts that we have. So that means your knee. You go through it and see it as potentially could be a amazing experience, life learning lessons. Pain, we have a relationship and a judgment to pain. But given over to spirit and to God, pain is just another part of the curriculum of learning to have faith, learning to love, learning to have compassion, learning to forgive, learning not to judge yourself, right? So it's just about handing it over. That's all it is. Every time the fear arises, God, please show me a different way to look at it. I'm willing here. I'm willing. Okay, I don't know when that's going to happen, but just show it to me. It doesn't have to be right now. I'm patient, right? You're practicing patience too. But all we're doing is just practicing giving it over. So that in this moment, I may have peace about something that isn't even here yet. And I don't project into the future and make the future more like this moment. More fear. Yes, thank you for that question. It's perfect conversation about the conflict and the fear.
Alex, when you said that about the battery, or no, when you said that about the negative, like in the positive, it reminded me of something that my teacher told me about a battery. He was like, you can't have a flow with just a positive pole. So like if you took your Tesla and you unplugged the negative because you don't like negatives, your car wouldn't go anywhere. And another word for negative is actually, I think it's cathode. And that comes from the same root word that cathedral comes from. It's like this empty space where things come into existence. So it's like they need each other in a way. It's like there's like a deeper thing there that I'm not remembering the thing, but I think you get it.
Yeah, together they make a whole. Right? And so let's look back to what the Course says about the positive and negative. So we say love and fear can be positive and negative, right? So the Course says love is beyond what can be taught. The opposite of love is fear, but what is all encompassing can have no fear. So what is whole, what is love, does not have a positive and a negative. What positive is still love. What negative is still love. They're both just two sides of a coin that represents a possibility in love. It requires both. Both can be given over to the Holy Spirit, and instantly love could be realized. Doesn't matter if things are bad or good. All things are it's just neutral. We see them as positive or negative. And what we see actually call forth what we think they are. Right? Like I put a video on, there's a great video about the way we see things. Quantum physics also speaks about it. And I say this all the time because it's great. Like objects behave differently based on the way that they are perceived. Your perception of something actually changes the behavior. Right? That a teacher in a classroom can call forth a higher IQ of a student just by perceiving the greatness in the student. So what can we do? What is our job then? We can remember for our brothers and sisters. Right? So, Lenka, I'm going to pull a card for you here. I just got this like cool deck. I don't really know what else to do with it, but whenever somebody shares, I'm just going to pull a card for you.
Okay, thank you.
Boom. Ah, look at that. How perfect. I could see peace instead of this. See what it says in the back. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. I could see peace instead of this. This is your mantra going into your surgery. All right, going into all your fears. I can see peace instead of this.
I will write that out and put it on my mirror. Seriously. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, perfect. All right. Who else? Okay, wait. Shiva just shared. Pull a card for you, brother. Boom. God's will for me is perfect happiness. Today I wake with joy, expecting but the happy things of God to come to me. God's will for me is perfect happiness. Right on, brother.
Beautiful.
All right, who else? Who else has something to share? What do you hear in today's conversation here? Yeah. We are trucking along, nice and slow. Uh-huh.
To just add on to that card, because I just saw this post today, and it like really resonates with that. Because like I was like doubting where I am right now for like the past 30 days, and it's like the quote is, "It's important to realize that you are living inside of one of your answered prayers, while you wait for your next one. There's always a place for gratitude." It's like, like, see, it doesn't seem like everything's going right for me. Like, I didn't think I would be here 2 months ago, but I am. But maybe it is an answered prayer and I'm not seeing it. It's like something bigger. So yeah, I think God's will is perfect happiness. So beautiful. It all ties in. It's gorgeous.
Yeah. God's will for you is perfect happiness. Goes right in line with what you shared. Awesome. Who's that? Nicole? Hey, Nicole.
Hi. Sorry. No. I saw your text after like put on a face mask, so I'm just taking off the camera.
You're good. You're good.
uh, Good morning, everyone. It's amazing that God allowed me to see your text and jump on because I'm working through all of that and I'm moving to the other side of fear and conflict. Um, Having gone through some interesting times over the last month, within the last several weeks, resigning a job because it was just not helpful and not in my walk, and it was my skill set, but the environment wasn't right, and so I resigned, and they took it really hard and like made it effective the same day and kind of walked me out. Um, you know, had to like tell my staff, well, it's my last day. Thankfully, I was able to do that, and just left everything. Didn't get a chance to do anything. And so, I mean, I had left a corporate job a year before, 2 years before. Worked on my business, needed cash flow, so went back to work. So, no, I'm back out here trying to rebuild and build my company so that I can be sustainable. And so just fully embracing everything that I know and can do and can share with the world and my value and not being afraid of the uncertainty or the insecurity, which is something that's like big for me. Stability is big for me. So I would love to hear your words of wisdom. And, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So, I would say kind of the same thing is there's only one place that you can place your trust. It's not it's when we think it's a business, it's sustainable and money, that is trying to fix a symptom. Okay, like it's kind of like different job, same boss, different event, same experience, right? Like the goal is not to fix at the level of the symptom, the body, the physical. The physical is the money, is the job, is this, because no matter what, you're gonna achieve your goals. Let's say you're gonna want to hit $1 million this year. You hit $1 million, and the problems are just gonna keep stacking up, right? If we think back to our lives, what was I stressed about last week? What was I stressed about the week before? What was I stressed about a year ago today? We have no freaking idea. We just keep going into one thing after another because we keep trying to fix a symptom, thinking fixing the symptom is going to bring me peace of mind, but it does not. Right? So this shift right now, again, is let me let me see something different than what I'm seeing. Right? Show me. And the conflict itself is back to my disconnection to what God is trying to show me here. And so every conflict, every fear we have, it's a trigger point. It's actually pointing to us exactly what we need to lean into. That's the invitation to faith, to trust. It's always an invitation to God's like, Spirit's like, I already see where you're at. I already see that this is perfect for you. You've been put into this situation exactly so you may awaken to this. That's what Spirit is holding a space for you to do. Here's another opportunity to choose again. Yep.
Can you expand it a little bit more on how you lean into that, and how you, I guess, walk into what he's trying to lead me towards, and have me see? Is it through prayer and meditation and fasting? Like what?
It's just through a trust in your heart and in your mind, knowing that whatever I'm going to be faced with, I will find happiness. I will laugh again on the other side of this. I will be joyful again on the other side of this. And then, see, you have to believe and have faith first. And then the evidence of the physical shows, and you're like, wow, yeah, you need the evidence so that next time you forget, you know to step back into it. So here you have an opportunity to create the evidence, which is, let me step into full trust. I don't know what it looks like. Alex can't tell me what it looks like. He can't tell me what the message is, but let me just say everything's going to be okay. Okay, I trust everything's going to be okay. I have a deal right now that needs to be closed in the next 13 days. We have a huge problem that showed up. We are hard. There is money on the line that cannot be refunded. And I could freak out. I could get all panicked. But I'm not. I'm just allowing every day to just be, okay, here's my task, is to find somebody that has it. And I trust, right? I trust even if it does not happen, that this is happening for me. You know, I had an experience in the last deal that many times I lost trust, and I was just down and out, and it's because of these calls that kept my faith going too. And then it turned out to be the most amazing thing that could have possibly happened. Like, that is what's available to you for your situation also. That may this experience here give you the strength to face all things in the future. Yeah. And let's see what the card says. I thank my Father for his gifts to me. Each day 1,000 treasures come to me with every passing moment. I am blessed with gifts throughout the day in value far beyond all things of which I can conceive. I thank my Father for his gifts to me.
That's great.
Yeah. Awesome. Hey, this deck of cards is fun. I like it. I always wanted. It's called Everyday Miracles, 50 card deck, lessons from A Course in Miracles. I was, every time I see people doing tarot cards and stuff, I'm like, yeah, it's cool. I always like pulling things, and it's just all different names or characters or lobsters or animals, and I'm like, and then I have to go and read this little book, which usually I'm like, I can't even see or something. We're always in the dark place, and I'm trying to like light a candle to read this tiny words in this book, and it's so long. I don't like reading things, really. I don't, I just like reading A Course in Miracles. But, and I was always like, yeah, that's cool. I want to do that. I want to pull cards. And so here I am. I got my own deck of cards to pull.
speaking of that, there's like YouTube videos that I was looking at about the tarot, and it was teaching me because I can't read it. Just want to know.
I think it's super cool. I'm always like, I want to be a tarot card person. And then now here I am, got my own thing.
Deep. Yeah. So cool.
And I got this other thing that is Wisdoms of A Course in Miracles, and it's actually like 1,000 different cards. Look at this thing. The amount of cards in here. I've actually never even opened it, so. It just has a lot of quotes, I guess. The goal of the curriculum is to know thyself. There is nothing else to seek. Oh, nice. I like it. All right. What else? All right, Adam. Oh, he's already gone. Bye. Adam and Claudia. Okay. Who else wants to share something? What else is going on? Oh, sorry. I haven't been reading any of the things online. Sorry. It's too much. If you want to ask questions, if you have comments, just join the Zooms. Anyone else? Okay. Well, for the course itself, okay, I didn't share this earlier. It's 3 sections. The first section is what we're doing right now is we're reading the text, 31 chapters, and then it goes into lessons, 365 lessons designed for a lesson a day. Hey, Lyra, are you still on the lessons a day? Where are you at?
I have to check. Yes, I am.
Oh, you're still on it.
What number? Yes, I am.
Okay. Well, you're the one that I believe can do 365 in 365 days.
I'm going to try.
Do or don't do. There's no try.
I will tell you right now.
So, yeah, I said I was going to do it. I haven't done a lesson in like 2.5 weeks. So I'm going to get back on it. So the lessons are designed.
Day 68.
Okay. Awesome. Well, carry on. I hope you get it done. And then the third section is the manual for teachers. The manual for teachers is actually a great section. This is actually how I got into A Course in Miracles, because it's actually questions that students and reading the course will have as you are reading. Right? So today we were going through correction, right? So maybe we can go to the back section that says, how is correction made? We're like, wait, we're talking about correction, the correction of errors. Talking about the correction of the confusion of levels. Marlu, thanks for being here. So, correction, we are looking at correction at Fraser, this is on page 47, corrections. So if nobody else has anything they want to ask, I'll just kind of read this section also. See what else stirs up. Hey, Donna. Welcome. All right. So how is correction made? We've just been talking about corrections. We're talking about the thinking. Your choice, your free will comes from choosing your thoughts, from knowing your thoughts, from knowing that it isn't by accident and that you actually have some level of choice at the level of the mind. And that really there's only 2 things. It's black and white. It's either spirit or it's ego. It's fear or it's love. It's God or it's not. Hey, oh, that rhymed. Okay, so correction of a lasting nature, and only this is true correction. So correction, that's why when we correct at the level of the physical, it is not lasting. That is the problem. This is why it is not the truth. The truth is correction. We're looking for correction that is lasting, okay, forever. And only this is true correction. So correction of lasting nature cannot be made until the teacher of God has ceased to confuse interpretation with fact or illusion with truth. Here we go. We literally operate, and that's every single one of us, we operate from our thinking our interpretation is fact. If we can just recognize that correction right there, that the stuff that is coming out of my mouth is just an interpretation, then we don't go to war with people over it. Because it's not a fact. What you're saying is not a fact. What you speak about your knee, about your fear of creating sustainability in your life and any confusion that you have, they are interpretations. Interpretations means, if it's not a fact, that means I can choose again. If it's not bringing me peace, let me interpret differently. Let me allow spirit to interpret this. Okay, that's really the end goal, is that no matter how I interpret it, I keep bringing my own stuff into it. I keep projecting. It's time to give it over. It's no longer on my shoulders. That feels light and that feels peaceful, right? If he argues with his pupil about a magic thought, attack it, tries to establish its error or demonstrate its falsity, he is but witnessing to its reality with a lowercase. Okay, it's not reality with a capital R. So when you are arguing with somebody, when the teacher of God sees a problem or a falsity in somebody, you are actually calling forth and witnessing the reality of what is not real, of that interpretation. Depression then is inevitable, for he has proved both to his pupil and himself that it is their task to escape from what is real. And this can only be impossible. Reality with a capital R, okay, Lyra, see you later. Reality with a capital R is changeless. Magic thoughts are but illusions. Otherwise, salvation will be only the same age-old possible dream in but another form. Yet the dream of salvation has new content. It is not the form alone in which the difference lies. Okay, so again, we're talking about form. Form is the physical and is the body. Form changes. Our fears around the form, it keeps changing. The form of our fear keeps changing. It'll show up in the physical. So when we try to correct at the level of the physical, we fix this thing, but our fears about it is still there. And then we project that fear onto something else, another form and another form. And then we're just over here correcting symptoms. And as we correct those symptoms, what we're doing is reinforcing the power of that fear in our mind. It's now just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It's just making you dance. It's making you dance because, boom, here's another fear for you to play with. Here's another conflict for you to play with. That is why the healing happens at the level of the thought, is not in the form. Whenever we see something that is out and we're fearful of something that is on the physical, do I have enough money? Am I going to find love in my life? Is my daughter or my kids going to respect me? Is my knee surgery going to be good? Those are just different forms of the same fear, the same problem that we have. And that is, what is it? The connection to source, to God. God's teacher's major lesson is to learn how to react to magic thoughts wholly without anger. Again, magic thoughts. What's magic thoughts? It's just mentioned magic multiple times. Magic is when we give power over to something that doesn't actually have power. We temporarily gave power to the physical over us, over our being, over our thoughts. It doesn't actually have the power, but we gave it the power. So in our lives, what have we given power over to? It doesn't. Nothing physical in this world has any power at all. But we give it by making it important, by interpreting it a certain way. So magic is by giving it. Now, the Course says there is a place for magic. When you are so fearful about your body, when you have cancer, when you get sick, when you're about to die, maybe we give, because in a fearful place there is no awakening. There is no returning to God. When fear is too great and we don't have the power or the ability to do it right now, we give temporary power over to something physical so that it may give us a moment of relief so that we can have a chance to be in the right mind. So I'm not saying money's not important, physical things are not important, because we are too fearful to not have those things. That means let's figure out how to have some of those things so that we may be in a less fearful place to wake up about the reality of those things. Whew, that was great. I wish I could write that down. But it's gone. It's gone. It's in the past now. All right. So, how to react to magic thoughts wholly without anger. Only in this way can they proclaim the truth about themselves. Through them, the Holy Spirit can now speak of the reality of the Son of God. Now she can remind the world of sinlessness, the one unchanged, unchangeable condition of all that God created. Now she can speak the word of God to listening ears and bring Christ's vision to the eyes that see. Now is she free to teach all minds the truth of what they are, so they will gladly return to her. And now is guilt forgiven, overlooked completely in her sight and in God's word. Anger but screeches. Guilt is real. Reality is blotted out as this insane belief is taken as replacement for God's word. The body's eyes now see, its ears alone can hear. Its little space and tiny breath becomes the measure of reality. And truth becomes diminutive and meaningless. Correction has one answer to all of this and to the world that rests on this. You but mistake interpretation for truth, and you are wrong. But a mistake is not a sin, nor has reality been taken from its throne by your mistake. God reigns forever, and her laws alone prevail upon you and upon the world. Her love remains the only thing there is. Fear is illusion, and you are like her. In order to heal, it thus becomes essential for the teacher of God to let all his own mistakes be corrected. If he senses even the faintest hint of irritation in himself as he responds to anyone, let him instantly, or you or her, let you instantly realize that you have made an interpretation that is not true. Okay, let me reread that one. If you sense even the faintest hint of irritation in yourself as you respond to anyone, let you instantly realize that you have interpreted what is not true. Then let you return within her eternal guide and let her judge what the response should be. So are you healed, and in your healing is your pupil healed with you. The sole responsibility of God's teacher is to accept the atonement for his or herself. Atonement means correction or the undoing of errors. This is what I keep saying. I'm glad that the course just brought that up again. The atonement means the correction or the undoing of errors. To atone, to undo, to correct. When this has been accomplished, the teacher of God becomes a miracle worker by definition. Your sins have been forgiven by her, and she no longer condemns herself. How can you then condemn anyone? And who is there whom her forgiveness can fail to heal? Yeah, sorry. Changing the his to her kind of confusing me a little bit. But it's fun, you know. Happy International Women's Day. Okay, from there, what else? What are you guys seeing, thinking?
here. Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
There was a lot said there. I want to rewind the clock a little bit. Um, so I was reminded of, the Jesus sayings about, according to your faith, right? You're healed. According to your faith, you know, this and this and that. And when you made the comment earlier about also something about magic, when something we do is magic, and that's us giving power into it. I'm the two statements, meaning that when faith and we receive a miracle based on that faith, are we putting energy into something in that process, as opposed to what you said earlier, magic, and that's also putting energy into something else?
Wait,
So the
repeat.
question,
Yeah, repeat that
yeah,
question again.
okay. Um, I guess the question is about putting energy into something or giving something energy, and I'm trying to reconcile this statement here about if I say something negative and I'm putting energy into it, so to speak. Um, how does that compare to another situation, or maybe it's the same situation where it's according to my faith that the miracle happened based on an event?
Hmm. So first of all, a miracle is not a physical body thing that happens. Okay, a miracle is a shift in perception about something from fear to love, from confusion to clarity, right? From body to spirit. So a miracle is when we recognize that, when that perception shifts. It's not anything that happens on the physical realm. Physical realm is all magic stuff, right? And there is no actually negative or positive. This is what we were saying earlier. There is only love that encompasses both. So even the positive and the negative, they're actually neutral expressions of love. We just interpret it. So all of our problems and all of our challenges comes from the way that we interpret. Now, we can't actually have miracles happen in the presence of fear. In the presence of fear, intense fear, miracles just don't happen. So sometimes we need some magic. We have to temporarily give some healing powers. And we're giving it. We're freely giving. See, we have the power to give meaning to things, right? We have the power to create in our mind. So let me create some meaning to this physical thing that brings me a little more peace in the moment so that I may create a little bit of distance from me and my fear itself. And then so it allows spirit to come in, that I may be less fearful so that I can actually call upon God. All right, so that's when the miracles are available. So I don't know if that answers your question or not. If not, just ask it in a different way.
Um, Not an easy topic, but I like the explanation about, yes, putting some space into this situation where we call onto the Holy Spirit or onto God to come and help us out. I like the way you said that. And I'm sorry, bro. I was deep. When you said things about, in the beginning, right, you said something about miracles. I don't know if you could repeat it, but something about the physical and the spirit. I
Hmm.
should have been taking notes. Yeah. And
Yeah, I know. I wish I take notes too sometimes. So now I got fireflies. I'm buying some credits so that it can actually summarize this whole thing for me and grab some quotes. Hopefully it works. So miracles are a shift in perception only from love, from fear to love. So in order for or from the physical to the spiritual, right? From confusion to clarity, from the body to spirit. Like that is the shift in our mind. When we have that level of clarity, it brings peace to us because we're like, ooh, everything's one, everything's good, God's got my back. Now, sometimes we are in such a fearful place, we can't even bring ourselves to that place. So we need to use our mind. Okay, here it comes from the mind that says, I'm going to give some power over to something in the physical world that really has no power. But I'm going to give it the power so that if I have the money, in my bank account, if I pay these bills, it's going to make me feel better. That's magic. Right? I'm going to give magic over to this thing. Like, I'm going to give it some power that it doesn't really have so that I can be out of a fearful place so that I may put myself in the position for true miracles, for the lasting correction. Now, there's a book called The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Scovel Shinn, and she talks about why are we such great advice givers to others and not to ourselves? When we give advice to others, there is a space between something happening and it's not happening to us, it's happening to them. So because there's a space, we actually allow wisdom to come into that space. But when it's ourselves, it's like right up in my face and there is no freaking space. There's no space for the wisdom and the intelligence to come. It goes immediately to, let me solve some problems, right? Let me fix things. Let me go and solve symptoms. Let me go address the symptom right here. And that's why we're not able to give ourselves the advice that we give to others. The intelligence is there. And it's literally, it's not you. Right? Sometimes we're like, oh yeah, let me give myself some credit for giving such good advice. No, you just gave yourself you just have space. That spirit was there to give the wisdom. I was having a meeting last night and we were just, the conversation went into, how did we even get here? Like, think about all the dots that actually had to connect. If we just think about this moment on this call right here, right now, all the dots that had to connect all the way back to your life, from as far back as you can go, to having you be on this call right now, hearing what you're hearing. Like, who the heck planned all of that? All the dots that had to meet. How did I end up in Dallas? And Fraser also ended up in Dallas. And then and then out of the hundreds or the 1,000 people that is there, we sit down and have a conversation that led to this, and all the way to here. Now, like, what? That is definitely not me, right? And that's the connection that we have to find. Is, dude, it is not me doing all of this. I am simply a channel, a vehicle that I'm not in the driver's seat. So if I'm in the passenger seat and I really don't have any control over the way this car is driven or where it's going, then let me at least enjoy the ride. How do I enjoy the ride? That is the game for us, is how do you find peace? Because peace is the prerequisite to heaven. How do I find peace being in the passenger seat? I like this one. I gotta write this shit down. Momentito. Hold on. In the meantime, feel free to ask your questions. I just need to write this down. What was I saying? What was I just saying?
How do I find peace in the passenger seat?
Man, that is freaking great. See? I didn't come up with that. It came. I don't know. Talking about Fraser, that came. Why are we talking? It's because you and I are the only ones on video, so I'm just talking to you right now. But okay, wait, Antoine, let me pull a card for you too. Let me call on my spiritual woo-woo-ness. The Holy Christ is born in me today. The sight of Christ is all there is to see. The song of Christ is all there is to hear. The hand of Christ is all there is to hold. There is no journey but to walk with him. That's it. The Holy Christ is born in you today, Antoine. Today is the day. All right, Fraser, go ahead.
Conversation that's been very much in a lot of people that I know these days is with the cabinet in Canada with Justin Trudeau.
Oh, okay.
So there's like a big scandal about how he's let the Chinese government come into our most secure biological chemical facilities, and it's all like they got these huge documents, and they're going off about it, and everyone's like, he should be impeached, he should be killed, all this stuff, and I've been practicing the part of just not trying to say anything, but just listen.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the perfect part about this moment in the Course of Miracles is even with those thoughts that come to your own mind, that like it's like those negative things that you can think about because of what you're hearing, and putting magic to those words. It's quite interesting to like kind of look at that. It's, to me, it's like
The only place to look is to look at the irritation within yourself. Anytime that you feel irritated, it means you are seeing something that is not there. You are in the interpretation mode. The ego's playing judgment. That he's the judge. Or you're playing the judge. So that's all we got to look at. Just look at our irritations. Our irritations point to where the error actually is. And it's not in the physical world. Remember, it's not in the symptoms. It's in our mind. All right? So, for you, boom. I do not perceive my own best interests. This is my favorite. What could you not accept if you knew that everything that happens, all events, past, present, and to come, are gently planned by the one whose only purpose is your good? I do not perceive my own best interests. This is a hard one for people to accept, but once you do accept it, it is comical. It is funny. All right. Hey, Ariana. Way to come on video. Good to see you.
Yeah, because you said you only had one person. I was like, oh my God, I got a little bit guilty.
Oh. Well, I'm glad that you're on. So how are you? And we got about 2 more minutes here. So
I love your collection in the background.
yes. Oh, rest in peace to the creator of Dragon Ball Z who passed away a couple days ago. Young, 68. Some kind of brain explosion. Or blood explosion in the brain. Something like that. Whatever it's called. That's actually how my dad passed too. At 50 something. Interesting.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm 58.
Oh. Well, every day is a blessing. Is a blessing. A blessing. All right, so what's up? We got one final question or comment from somebody here. One final card to draw. Who wants to be it?
I just want to say thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for being here for like 4 years.
Yeah, you don't see me because sometimes, I can't just be on camera, but I'm in the background.
I see you.
I'm learning. I'm keeping myself grounded.
Yes, I see you.
As much as I can.
I see you. Hey, Jessica.
I know it's been a while.
It's been a while. It's not the same without you.
No, but hopefully I'm going to be connected again. I've just been going through a storm. I have a property that is entrusted to me up in Jacksonville, and it got completely, the son, my friend's son, just completely, it got overrun by squatters and everything. It took me months and months to get them out. I just got the writ of possession 2 days ago and went up there, and I'm just getting ready to, I don't even know what I'm going to do, how I'm going to be able to, how I'm going to attack this, how I'm going to get this. I mean, I got it back, I cleaned, but it's horrible condition. It's all the way in Jacksonville. So I already know I've got Sylvius and I've got all the people and the contacts in place to you know to to get it together. But it's just I'm kicking myself in the ass because I should have done something sooner and I should have been able to stop this from getting to this point. And now knowing that I'm the only one that's can fix it. So I want to get out of the fixing mode and just I'm looking for the blessing here, and I know there's plenty of blessings here, but thank you because you always ground me and everything is fixable. It's just stuff. It's just
Shoulda,
stuff.
coulda,
I was
wouldas.
grateful to get it back. And I was grateful to get the property back, considering how many scams out there and so many people losing their properties.
Yeah.
Because there it is, it's a scam. They just target vacant houses and stuff like that and abandoned vacant houses. So thank you for today and
Yeah.
card.
I mean, and just begin by saying, what a blessing it was that this house was able to provide some place of safety and shelter for my brothers and sisters that were squatting in there. But I'm taking it back. You guys had your time. Squat somewhere else, right? I mean, it's just about finding peace in all the things that happen because they're squatting in there. I mean, what? They probably like take shits in corners and the house is all fucked up. But, we just find the gratitude in it. We got it back. I mean, it's just simple. Send the crew in, clean it up, get it ready for something. I don't know, whatever it's going to be ready for. But, okay. Do you want one of these cards or you want one of these cards?
Oh my god. I don't know. The good one.
I don't know what that is.
You pick. Listen, you pick. We're soulmates over here, so I trust you.
All right, I'm picking one of these. You get the one that I picked out of this, the golden ticket. You got the golden ticket. Everything loving is true. Everything else is an appeal for healing and help, regardless of the form it takes. So every loving thought is true. Everything else is an appeal for healing and help, regardless of the form it takes.
Perfect.
Only loving thought is true.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. That was great. Happy Sunday. Hopefully this brings you guys some joy. My goal is always that you leave here with some level of joy and happiness, and some clarity on going out to the rest of your life. Do your things. Heal your relationships. And enjoy your Sunday. I will see you guys Wednesday. God willing. Bye, everyone.
God bless. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now
See you later.